Welcome to the deep dive. So, Bitcoin spot ETFs, they launched early this year, right? Basically giving investors regulated exposure without needing to hold Bitcoin directly.
Exactly, and they've certainly made a splash. We're looking at a total net asset value around $94.69 billion now.
94 billion. Wow.
Yeah, and get this, that's like 5.62% of Bitcoin's entire market capitalization. It's significant.
Okay, so quite a chunk. What about the money actually flowing in since the start?
That's also impressive. The cumulative historical net inflow stands at $35.36 billion, so definitely strong investor interest there.
Right. And we know the big players, BlackRock's IBIT has been dominant, pulling in, what was it, nearly $40 billion?
$39.60 billion in historical net inflow, yeah. And Fidelity's FBTC isn't far behind in terms of significance, $11.37 billion for them.
Okay. But today we're zooming in on, well, just yesterday's activity, especially after things looked a bit shaky recently.
That's the interesting part. Yesterday, we actually saw a small net inflow across all these EPS, only $1.47 million, mind you.
$1.47 million. Seems tiny compared to the other numbers.
It is small, but the context is key. It broke a 7-day streak of net outflows. Money was leaving for a whole week straight.
Ah, okay. So the bleeding stopped, at least for a day. Was anything else happening, like with Bitcoin's price?
Well, yeah, this happened just as Bitcoin seemed to find its footing, stabilizing around the $85,000 level.
So maybe a connection. Price steadies, investors pause the withdrawals.
It suggests that, possibly. Maybe that stability helped rebuild a little bit of confidence after the recent dip.
Because that outflow streak was pretty serious, wasn't it? How much left the funds?
It was substantial. The week before yesterday saw roughly $713 million flow out.
Oof. Almost $750 million.
Exactly. And even the giant BlackRock's IBIT wasn't immune. It saw $343 million leave during that same period.
So even IBIT felt the pressure then?
It did, which makes yesterday's reversal, even though it's small overall, potentially quite significant. It might signal, maybe we've hit a short-term bottom for that negative sentiment.
Interesting. So who actually saw inflows yesterday? Was it spread out or concentrated?
It was really concentrated, actually.
Okay.
BlackRock's IBIT was pretty much the only one with significant positive inflows. It pulled in $36.72 million.
Just IBIT, so it bucked the trend again.
It really did. It highlights its continued leadership. And, speaking of IBIT, its growth has been phenomenal. It had $10 billion in assets in just, 7 weeks?
7 weeks to $10 billion after launching in January.
Yep. Fastest any ETF has ever reached that milestone, ever.
That's incredible. What does that speed tell you?
It points to huge pent-up demand, especially from traditional finance players who wanted Bitcoin exposure but maybe weren't comfortable holding it directly before. These ETFs really bridged the gap.
Okay, so it meets a need. And its ability to keep attracting money even when the overall market saw outflows like last week. What's that about? Strong trust.
It strongly suggests that, high investor confidence in BlackRock's management, perhaps in the structure of IBIT itself for institutional level exposure, it seems to be their go-to.
And performance probably doesn't hurt either.
Definitely not. IBIT's up 72.80% since it launched. That kind of gain makes it very appealing if you want Bitcoin exposure via an ETF.
Right. What about the others, though, like Fidelity's FBTC? Did they see inflows yesterday, too, or...?
That's a key point. While IBIT pulled in that $36 million, most other major ETFs had either tiny inflows or actually continued to see some outflows yesterday.
So IBIT really stood alone in attracting significant new money yesterday.
Pretty much, yeah. It really underscores its current strength in the field.
Okay, so let's recap. We saw the end of a 7-day outflow streak, just a tiny overall inflow, but a potentially important shift.
Right. And coupled with that is the continued, really standout strength of BlackRock's IBIT, attracting capital even when things looked uncertain elsewhere.
It definitely suggests sustained institutional interest, possibly weathering that recent volatility.
It could well be signaling a shift, or at least a pause, in that recent negative market sentiment towards these products.
So, something for everyone listening to consider. How do these flows, this movement of money in and out of these regulated Bitcoin products, how might that shape the wider crypto market? And maybe how does it change how you think about Bitcoin's role in the bigger financial picture going forward?
Good questions to ponder.
Definitely. That's our deep dive for today. Thanks for tuning in.